lots of great programming going on. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and introduce our esteemed panel of judges / panelists. Joseph Heiler, he's the owner-director of Lush Leaf Marketing. His specialization is marketing. His location is Sacramento, California. David Ferris is Director of Sales and Marketing for Planet 13. His specialization is sales and marketing, branding, and design, and he is from my hometown of Las Vegas. Dino H. Carter, brand expert and owner of D Branding, specialization, branding and marketing. Location is Hollywood, California, and Los Angeles. Marco Jimenez, marketing director of Green Bros. They also do harvesting, specialization, video marketing, deployment, and strategy, located right here in San Diego. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today, specifically growth-focused marketing and branding when it comes to social media, deployment, video marketing, branding, partnerships. And the first thing I want to ask the panel, and feel free to jump in as you like, is what is the biggest misconception that you or you find the industry has about successful branding and what makes a brand successful?
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
I think the misconception is across industries, not only in the cannabis industry, but because the cannabis industry is in a way young, or the way that we perceive it right now is young, I think the biggest misconception is what a brand is and what is branding. And I think that a lot of people, and I'm sure at least some of you will agree with me, think that a brand is a logo. And they say, that's my brand, which is a very big misconception. And this is something that you can see across all industries. Because branding is so up there in a way and deals with so many intangibles, some people don't understand exactly what is branding. Packaging is not branding, it's part of branding. Building a brand is first understand who the brand is and go deep into the brand persona. All of the others, the logo, the design, the colors, the packaging, all of that is just manifestation of the brand's personality. And this is something that is really, really important, mainly in a competitive industry like we have now, because you need to ask, who am I, or who my brand is, who am I targeting, because you're not targeting everybody, what exactly I'm selling, because you're not selling the product, you're selling a specific promise or a specific solution, and why should they buy from me? That's the 4 pillars of let's build a brand real fast, or in an afternoon.
I'd like to expand on that. I see a couple faces that were right here in the last panel that I was on. So I have some definitions that I really kind of right off of what you were saying. I'm going to give you some definitions that will clarify some things in the way that you look at branding, the way you look at your business, the way you look at marketing. My first definition is your business, right? Your business is simply an entity that exists to sell a good or a service, right? It has parts, it has components, it is sterile, it is a machine that serves a purpose. Your brand is that business's identity, okay? It's not necessarily the way you hope it is, it's whatever your identity is, the way your competitors see you, the way customers see you, the way people who don't take cannabis at all see you, all those different things, that's your brand. Branding is it's a verb, a present tense verb. It's something you're always doing. Branding, in my definition, is simply this. It is the effort that you put in to shaping and sculpting that image, that brand. Marketing, the definition I have for you for marketing is very much like what Dino said, is a promise that you're making about what your product is and what your brand is. If you stop branding at marketing, then you're going to start making a whole bunch of promises that you can't keep, right? And to Dino's other point, there are a lot of people out there that are going to show up and say, hey, give me $50,000, here's your logo, here's some slogans to put on the wall. here's who you are now. And if that's not really who you are, then that's not who you are, and you're either gonna keep paying somebody else to try to invent a personality for you, or you're gonna just develop your own and then kind of figure out who you really are. And that's what you want to do. You want to take that time in the beginning and really build up, figure out who that is, like a big picture of your brand's identity, and then edit down. Edit down into like deliverable messages, what you can deliver in a marketing sense, what you can deliver in a customer service sense, what you can deliver. Yes?
Thanks. I have a question because I just nailed it and before I forget, I want to ask. So when you're developing your identity as a brand, that may change from when you first started and you can't think of everything. You don't really kind of think of everything in the very beginning. So as you change and evolve, can your marketing message then pivot to reflect that?
Sure.
And how do you do that?
So you use your brand as like your core, right? And you are, in the beginning you're a teenager, right? You're out there like, maybe I'm goth, maybe I'm, you're kind of like figuring it out. There's a lot of people that want to have you pay them a lot of money to try to figure that out for you. But yeah, you're going to shift, you're going to find your identity. And you have to be realistic at how you view yourself. Like if you go out there and say, our identity is we take pride in our employees and everything, but you pay your employees nothing, then and you don't treat them well, then that's not really your identity. That's who you are. So when you start with that identity, something you feel comfortable, in the beginning keep it simple, then your marketing message is just a thing to get attention, right? And so you can change that message up all the time. And then once you get somebody's attention, you're kind of saying, okay, well, this is what I want to promise, right? But you're going to learn. You're like, oh, we're promising this, but everybody sees us this way. So then you kind of shift a little bit, and so you're really making a promise that's more what people identify with in the way that they see your brand. Does that answer? Okay.
To add to that too a little bit, the market doesn't lie. I always tell all of our clients, the market doesn't lie. So you can think you're one thing, you can want to be one thing, you can dream about being one thing. But if the market's telling you there's no probable way you can grow or scale this business, then you have to really think about what that is. And so when you figure out what the market may want, which may differ slightly or completely from what you build, then at that point you obviously have to change everything that you're doing. Anyone else want to add anything?
I tend to find that in the cannabis industry, authenticity seems to be really important. And I know we've all heard that before, but it's just my experience that that message needs to be on point, needs to be honest with your clientele, honest with yourself. At Green Bros, I decided to look at the CEO to identify as our face of our company. And like Joe said, I kind of stripped down to the essence of the core of who he was, and we told that story, and we tell it over and over again, and we reinforce it, that entrepreneur, American dream, and a lot of people started identifying with it right away, and it took some time and quite a bit of money, but eventually we got a really good message out there, and we're going there right now. So.
Here's a huge misconception with the necessary steps to build a brand. Cannabis marketing, there's a ton of research that you have to conduct to launch a successful brand. I think in the days of the past where you wanted to be an upscale, elegant brand are kind of done, right? Like you have to really think about that messaging and how that really fits your identity. It's not as easy as just putting premium on the label anymore, right? And especially in the California market, my home is close to the Nevada and Las Vegas market, but it's definitely really important as things get more competitive that you really think of the depths and the complexity of branding and marketing specifically.
Wonderful. Moving on to restrictions in the space. So this is something I'm asked about constantly. I'm sure you guys are as well when it comes to marketing and social specifically. Social media marketing is so sensitive in our industry. Do you and your clients market on social, and how do you market on social?
I'd like to take that one. It makes me cringe when I hear that people's social media Instagrams get shut down and they just don't keep going forward and fighting that. I think it's a necessary step for your business to be successful. Us personally, we've had our account shut down multiple times. Just recently got able to retrieve that, which is the first time we've done that. But it's absolutely necessary for your business. And when you say social media as well, and what I target is more of a retail-focused brand that we're also part of, is the necessary steps of Facebook, running an actual storefront page, responding to Yelp reviews, Google reviews. I mean, that's what I put on the umbrella of social media is how to properly manage how the customer, the consumer perceives you.
It's also a way to be directly, like, you can answer them directly. That here's a voice, they can contact you. You can, pass them on to sales managers or whatever. It's a really direct way to do it. I think that's really unique right now.
I'd like to add, I think one of the ways, social media, I see personally as more of a customer service platform than a marketing platform. And you're going to get marketing value out of that because people are going to be able to observe your interactions. So when you're doing any kind of social media, you want to make sure that you're involved, you're engaging the customer. Have somebody who's talking to people, not just necessarily throwing up emojis, but get people in conversations. I mean, because when things pop up over and over again, when more and more people are talking, they kind of pop back up in threads. One other thing to consider is the likes. Like, when you're putting an ad together, who are you really appealing to? Because if somebody likes it, you have to think about this. If I have 10,000 followers and I get 100 likes on this post, did everybody's worst friend just like my post? Like, seriously, like when they share and it shows up in everybody else's feed, who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to somebody, because those are your real influencers, not somebody who has 1 million followers. Your real influencers are the people that everybody interacts with on a day-to-day basis. So once you wanted people who like your stuff, you want to appeal to somebody who's going to have kind of a voice in their relationships with their cohorts and stuff. So that's another thing to consider.
Can I add just a quick thing? And I think that social media is so important today. It's such a huge part and a great tool. The ROI on social media, and I'm talking organic, is amazing. You can get so much traction and put your name out there. And again, I'm talking only organic. And we talked about chats before and the one-on-one vessel. You can talk to a specific customer and you can show the best customer service ever. You can answer every question they have. If you don't utilize Facebook Messenger the right way and you let them just ask question and you don't even check your Facebook Messenger, and you can create and send links immediately, and it's on the way, it's on their mobile, so you can have a one-on-one connection with that specific customer, and you need to give all your attention to every customer that you have. And you talked about likes and engagement, and I think that more important than the likes you have or the followers you have and all these vanity factors are the engagement. If no one comments on your feed, something is wrong. People have to comment. People have to then someone else comment, even if it's bad. And in the cannabis industry, it happens a lot because every grower is the best grower, and those trichomes are so small, I can get so much more than that. No, that's great, because that means that you're doing something right. That means that you create something that people are interested in. And of course, every comment like that, you can take and create a great customer from. A lot of the times I made haters the best customers and lovers in the world. They just want to understand why. They want some information. Don't go and, my dick is bigger. Just tell them why their dick is smaller.
And we have another question too. Somebody wants to make their way over with a mic. And I really want this to be interactive. I mean, we want to speak at you, especially when it comes to marketing and branding. We want to be able to give you, quality, actionable advice and items here today. So while we're getting you a mic over there, I did want to talk about scaling. So scaling is the hardest part of business, and partnerships have been a huge, huge part of how we've scaled our business. And I want to hear about how partnerships and creating relationships and networking has completely changed or evolved your business. And how can someone in this room, take those first steps to be able to do the same?
I can get started. So I've been with our company for about 3.5 years. We started as a small medical dispensary. We then transformed where we added 2 cultivations, 2 productions, and now have the largest dispensary in the world where we're expanding about 112,000 feet. So we're now appealing more as a destination, I'd say, in what we do. And it was difficult scaling from a medical model to a full recreational destination model. And the only way we could do that was through partnerships and through alliances of some of the best products and brands that surround us. And I think it attests to a lot of how you can't be in this industry and say, screw everyone else, right? It's a lot of working together with people around you and creating those alliances. And how does that benefit each other, right? We are huge in partnerships and exclusives with a lot of other brands that we work with because those collaborations that we do in our model is successful for them too, right? We can bring some attention to both of our brands that way. So I think through the growth over the past few years of our company personally, we've learned a lot how much more powerful we can be when we work with some of those other people around us.
Yeah, I found that starting out, whenever we would get approached by a magazine or a new product, if we said yes to them, all of a sudden you'd see we all start rising together. I don't exactly know how to put it, but it's just exciting right now, and yeah.
There's a lot of room for success in the cannabis industry, and there's also a big storm cloud on the horizon of a lot of people, or not a lot of people, small groups with a lot of money coming in to try to dominate the industry. If you get greedy and you're like, I need to be isolated, I need to be here, and I can't, I don't want to work with anybody, it might work out, you might, hit the magic bullet and just take off, but it's, realistically, you kind of want to look at who you are, your sizes, and what your goals are, and kind of look at who's coming and who you need to have people have similar goals, people have similar aspirations, but maybe in slightly different areas that you can work with to put bigger things together. Like I recommend everybody who has a brand that they're selling retail to the public needs to be working on events, right? You should get together with other brands, get 10 or 15 brands in a little coalition and throw a freaking party, right? Charge $40 for people to get in, have some music or comedy or something, and then use that as your opportunity to market. And so when you want to get in front of people, that's going to be a great resource with teaming up with people. So people similar goals, similar ambitions, similar kind of where they're at business-wise, and just get together and draw people in. And you can do that. One of the nice things of that kind of marketing too, when you talk about like in-field marketing and in stores, is you can actually pay for the marketing itself, unlike putting up a billboard or something. It pays for itself, but it's harder to track that number. You can put sales goals in place to say, okay, we've hit our marketing numbers, everything after that is gravy, and then work on in those environments creating the kind of customer experience like we were talking about on Facebook, like engaging. You create that experience, you build those little neural connections in people's mind where it says, I like them, and then that exists in their mind, and all you have to do from there is kind of keep building on it, keep building on it, and keep building on it. But yeah, those partnerships to get in those kind of environments I think are going to be huge. Find people that you like and just throw a party and advertise it well and sell, make sure you're licensed and for your permits and everything. But you can sell out there and just, it's good. I mean, in my opinion, it's more fun than a beer event, right? And how many beer events are in every county every year? Like how many craft brew events? So some people have said like they don't, like, oh, you can do like one or two, like I'm in Sacramento, like do a couple of, the Sacramento can handle 25 to 50 little events a year. All your areas can do that. So team up with people. And I say the same thing 50 times over. You gotta throw something at me, so I stop talking.
No, it's okay. I think you're talking about building community, and we all get that. And I don't even know if this works. Can you guys hear me fine? Yeah, okay, cool. I do want to get, there's 2 questions right in the audience. I think you want to get them if you don't mind. We really want this to be interactive, so please start in the front.
So I think you guys talked a little bit about this, but for business-to-business marketing in this industry, it can be very difficult to actually find customers. So how do you approach that? And is there, it seems sort of illogical to think that social media would be the approach to
as I work with mainly B2B cannabis clients, and the first thing you said, social media. LinkedIn is perfect. Everything that's B2B, LinkedIn is just working great. But the thing is that you have to be real and authentic as we talk. Don't try to sell. What happens is that you get tons of messages. Everybody wants to connect with you, but it's all empty. There's nothing behind it. So what if you want to connect with me? What? So, and on the other hand, there are those that, but they try to sell you something. So try to make connections. Try to, what I, for instance, do, and everyone can do that, is to get out of LinkedIn to the real world. Hey, let's grab a beer. Let's go have a coffee. Both of us are in the same city. Are you going to CanaFarmCon? Let's meet there. Phone calls. Every time that someone is trying to sell me something, and he wants to sell, and he sent me like a Calendly link, which Calendly needs to IPO ASAP. So I reply, if it's a sales call, don't bother. If it's let's meet each other, talk, tell me about your business, I'll tell you about my business, tell me about your life, I'll tell you about my life, we'll have like 5 minutes. Who knows what's gonna happen? And that's how you create relationships. I have someone that I met on LinkedIn a year ago. We grabbed a beer, and last week someone needed something. I was like, I have the girl for you, talk to her, and now they work together. So those are the things that you need to do. Call and events. Events all the time.
Great show. Yeah.
My philosophy is I have to meet with them face to face. My personal model, right? And everyone's different how they conduct business. But I think a lot of the times with business to business models that people suffer is they overload information and they send you a ton of things, right? At the end of the day, for you, it needs to benefit me, right? If you're gonna approach me for a business model, right? So if it's a product to be in our store, some type of new marketing tool, like how does it benefit me? Clear cut, boilerplate, and we can work together on those details and if it interests me. I think the problem is when you try to push too much at the individual in the business to business model and try to rely too much on social media services, right? Like direct messaging me and stuff is going to give you a low success rate, right? You know, it's working on that.
I think also something to offer is that if you waste your time, nobody knows you're doing time. So think about what your value proposition is. Like, what can I offer you to build this relationship where I'm not asking for anything? And think about long-term relationships. Because certain relationships don't matter. Not necessarily years, kind of thing. So that's a question too, right?
Okay. Hi, I'm Susan. I don't work in this industry. I work in sales and I work in software. Meetings with the
I can answer one of my clients who use Reddit, and it's awesome, mainly because because it's nameless, people are real, and they tell you the truth in your face, and you can get actual conversations on that and really understand a lot of the reasons and tweak, like when we talked about tweaking your marketing or identity, you understand, I thought they think about me A, but they think about me B. So I need to change that. What can I do to change the way they think about me? And a lot of information you get on Reddit. Not for everything, but yeah.
There's ocean plastic product packaging and stuff that we utilize. Yeah. No. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's the issue with like an emerging market, and I think right now if you look at, I'll just use a joint tube for example, right? You get a tube the tube that you put a pre-rolled joint in, right? You get a plastic one, it's 8 cents. You get an ocean plastic one, it's 33 cents, right? And that's the hard part with a lot of when the growing industries is a lot of the people that want to do it, right, they don't have the capital to reduce their margins like that, especially with some of the tax implications that some of us experience and some of the competition. So I do think your focus in sustainability is going to happen, I think, slowly over the next few months to a few years. Do I think it's happening as fast as it should? No, but I think some of us have that corporate responsibility to really focus on as much as we can.
To your question, I'm actually working on something, but from a marketing perspective, but it's kind of like a social, like a private club social network. So, because one of the things I do, I go out and perform, we do infield marketing services, go into stores and events. So rather than a mailing list, you sign up and you can be a member of the Lush Leaf Club, is the tentative name of it now. But it is that community. It's set up as like a community app. You're a member on, it's members only. You wouldn't know, who's on there, and it gives a platform for a lot of different advertisers to come to get to that 20, you're not worried about 71.6%. And you can kind of target stuff. We can start using it to gather data so you can learn what everybody's interests are. Because you have your interests, they have their interests, you got to find out where it is.
But I think it comes down to also to like your personality, the personality of your brand, the narrative of your brand, like what it is that you're looking to do. Some people want to do events, some people want to use media, some people want to use social. So even though every point that you've made is absolutely great, it's going to speak to certain brands, certain people, and it's not going to speak to others. But like I write for Forbes, and we have a Forbes column with our agency, and like getting Forbes and being cannabis and anything into that space, even though they're all about it, it's very, very, very touchy. So there's lots of ways like we're going to be using hopefully mainstream media to be able to gain more exposure to everything that we're doing. But it's a process too. So it's like just because we write for them for the past few years, a lot of our friends write for them, and everyone's trying, them being whomever, best company, doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow that someone who's not in the industry or even that is see right away. Do you want to get anything? I think that it depends on what it is that we're doing. Like we all have our own agendas, So yeah, obviously we want to be able to bring more visibility to what it is that we're doing, but I have clients who have their own agenda and ways that they want to do things. It's not just about me cracking down every single door and like setting everything on fire. Sometimes you're like, well, we want to do this and that, but it really comes down to that. I think there was one other question too. Did you have a question? You had a question, please.
In reference to CSR, corporate social responsibility, you guys doing anything in the industry, or do you know people that are doing things in different companies? With 25 to 40, people will turn away from this or that in order to support somebody that's a responsibility, and they'll spend however you spend more money on that CSR, it's cheaper than
I personally am ready to take on the tobacco industry if anybody wants to put it together. Let's get some CBD, let's get some people making some high quality CBD, or even just smokable hemp that doesn't have CBD in it if you wanted that for some reason. Great flavors, doesn't hurt. Let's put a coalition together. Let's do, but in terms of social responsibility for a business, in my mind, everybody should. You should always, you need to give back. You're in a place where you're making money, give back, but give back, you should give back to what you care about, right?
For example, with CBD could help, for example, general old people, or people with anxiety, or whatever, somebody who's not watching the international comedy can't know a lot about it, we have to switch ours, our banks, our platform, so that can use out the Amazon, or we can do some products on things with it, that are any kind of reasons, we're not just all our organization, that was small with it. We'll go in clinics, schools, human necessities, things like that, and also like the defense stuff, because we want them to stand there and do things on that. You guys say, huge opportunities to try and I am looking at certainly some of the water. But you guys say, huge opportunities, but everybody knows out here, especially about the farm and things. And I just find it interesting, you know, to be part of anything, or anything you're not, why not?
Definitely.
In the,
No, people are definitely. Does anybody else want to speak to this before I do? Sure, go ahead.
yeah, again, I talked a little bit about the Nevada market, which of course we're in California right now, but we've, as an industry, a lot of our tax money is dedicated towards the schools. To be honest, the state kind of messed that up a little bit, and they're working on fixing that. So what we've done as a company, locally in Las Vegas, is we take some responsibility in doing some back to school, a lot of school-focused things, because to be honest with you, that's why we went recreational in the first place, was because people got excited about the tax money for schools. In Las Vegas, our school system is subpar. Also, what we do is work with Veterans Village in Las Vegas. So they actually have a really beautiful facility where veterans can go there and live comfortably. And they provide food, services, everything for them. And that's something that really fits with the cannabis industry, especially with PTSD and other things. You said a great point, and we carved out a new entity within our company for CBD-focused things, and that's massive, right? And that's where the real corporate responsibility lies, because you can go beyond borders, and that's where it really changes the game, and you can do national campaigns for social responsibility. You don't have to be hung up just in your region. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are. I mean, one of my clients is Minority Cannabis Business Association, and they're a nationally recognized business association of thousands of leaders who do a lot of amazing work, specifically going to activate and be advocates for people in D.C. and in other places that have gone to do life sentences because of cannabis incarceration. So I can tell you that that is one nonprofit that's huge. We're happy to work with them. We've worked with them for a while. They're doing incredible work, and it's really just awe-inspiring. So there's tons of stuff going on, I think.
Yep.
Please.
Yeah, I just kind of want to tie it back to marketing again.
Please.
Because this is a marketing panel. I think that I'm in the industry. I'm not, looking at the industry. I'm in marketing. I'm not going to pitch my services, but when I think a lot of it is very branding focused whenever I go to any panels, but like we got to give people more practical, use of Facebook is great, but if my page is shadow banned, I can't talk to any customers. Same with Instagram. So it's kind of like not having one focus. I think a lot of brands are looking for that one magic pill, and marketing, you guys understand, there's no magic pill. So it has to be the Reddit, it has to be the LinkedIn, it has to be the Facebook, it has to be email marketing, it has to be events. So you have to keep putting yourself out there, and I kind of want to see kind of what you guys are doing and what you guys are focusing on, I guess.
It's funny, I had a meeting with a client last week, and I have a list of touch points. All the touch points that a business can have with a customer, and kind of a matrix, and I think this is great for every business. See the customer journey and the touch points that you use on every stage, because just like you said, you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. It's really easy to immediately jump on social media because you can open a profile in a minute, and it's much easier than starting set events, but you need to do everything. You need to find the right mix of marketing activities and initiatives that are online, offline, new school, old school, and create the right mix, as I say. And that's why a lot of new businesses in cannabis, because they're new, they don't have marketing budget. They don't have marketing plan. And when you ask them, so what's your budget? And they say, I don't know. Or they think that you ask that because you want their money. But the idea is that you need to understand where you're going and how are you going to make it. How much money do you have to allocate to social media? How much money do you have for events? Maybe you don't have enough money for all the events you want. Maybe some of the events you just walk the events. Some of them, the bigger ones, like 2 in a year, you have a budget to have, NCIA and another one. But you have to plan, and just like you said, you can't have everything on social media alone.
So it's a good question, and what we focus on, what I tell everybody is, like I've mentioned before, events, in-field marketing, right? Get in stores, right? You need to be in a store as much as possible, but then when you're there, you have to know what you're doing, all right? You need to be able to know how to have a 30-second to 2-minute conversation that hits a number of objectives, and basically how to train your people, whoever's going into stores, to do that. And you want to have the same type of goals when you're at a cannabis event and similar type of goals when you're at a non-cannabis event. And one thing I will say, if you're thinking about doing some in-field marketing, do not make your goal the revenue that you're generating that day. If that's what you're thinking about, you're thinking wrong. Okay, you should be focused on how to build the customer experience, and when you do that, the revenue should come. The revenue should really be the easiest part to hit, and if you're struggling, then there's a lot of other components in what you're doing that's wrong. What you really want to get is data, right? You need to get, the end of your pitch at an event or in a store shouldn't be, hey, do you want to buy my product now? You don't close with, now buy the product, you close with, will you sign my mailing list? All right, and then you make the most out of that, right? And really, some of the mailing list stuff, I subscribe to as many as I can. It's super boring. You can really do a lot with that. So that's what you want. That's what you want to keep building those relationships. You want to make those return visits, because if you're just focusing on today's dollar, then tomorrow all you're going to be doing is focusing on today's dollar. Next month, the same thing, and next year, and you're never going to hit that role where you can project accurately future revenue based on the marketing that you're doing.
I want to jump in quickly about paid advertising. It's such a touchy place to be, and I want to see who on this panel is actually doing paid advertising now, and where are you advertising, and what does that look like?
Our most successful platform is AdRoll, and really that's that we get the most bang for our buck there. And partly answer your question as well, you have to get really creative, obviously. One of the tactics for our business, because we're B2B, we partnered with a company called Cannabis Club TV, and we're now putting point-of-purchase displays in hydro stores. We're manufacturing the frames, we're building it all, and then CCTV puts their ad tech or their software in it. And we're streaming our own ad content now directly to 30 hydro stores right now. We're growing. We're hoping to get to a few hundred by the end of the year. But that was sort of like an aha moment when we sat down at dinner. We had one of these really collaborative moments and smoked a few joints and drank a few shots, and boom, it was really, it's been paying for itself now. It's amazing. We're hoping to sell ads on that network in the near future, but for now we're at least getting our ads out there, and that was our example of our situation. Not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Brandon has not been a Planet 13 site in Las Vegas. Let me tell you, it is amazing. It's an amazing place.
Thank you.
People come in from out of town and they say, I've never seen a dispensary, I've never seen retail. I literally take them to Planet 13.
Thank you.
It's like a shopping center, right?
Yeah,
It's
we see over 100,000 purchase customers a month, which is pretty crazy. But so I don't want to be the guy with just a white dress shirt, talking about revenue. But in my business, that's all I care about, right? So I care about data and revenue and how those work together, because I can't guarantee that person's going to come back. You can't always bank on that, but what you can bank on is when you're right in front of them, right? That's how I feel. What I really try to focus on is when I look at a marketing budget and how you actually do paid advertising, how I grow my budget is how do I convert that revenue into more marketing dollars for me, right? So what I do is for my retail store, we sell all digital ads throughout our store. So we have about 60 TVs that are all digital ads for other brands that are brands emerging in the Las Vegas market, California brands. We work with a lot of them. We also sell shelf space and other things, right? We try to monetize as many areas as we can, and not only just to suck money from them, but to bring value to those brands and actually have that translate into sales, right? So working with their marketing teams. But what we do is we have a huge traditional advertising program, which is, those usually don't work, right? But in our case, it does because we're a heavy tourist market. We have about 200 wrapped cabs in Las Vegas, the most wrapped cabs in the market. We really focus on highly concentrated areas. Unfortunately, the airport, and there's a ton of restrictions with cannabis, but it's all about working with your respective areas and being the first one to do it, right? It's easy to sit back and say, hey, this person's done it before, this person, you're behind, right? And so what I've done and I've had a lot of success with is even the Fashion Show Mall, which is right on the Strip, right? Is working with them to be, hey, how can we work together to where maybe you're not ready now, but in the next few months, when you are ready, we're the first one you think about. And how can I help you understand the things that we have to go through for us to get approvals? And a lot of people don't understand that in our market is it's about a month or so for us to get an advertising approval with a bunch of different graphics and other related things. So it's always important to share your side of things, right, and the struggles that you have on advertising and the hoops you have to jump through, because sometimes that sheds light in unique areas that you would like to advertise in and utilize.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about what are some of the trends you've seen in 2019 in relation to branding or marketing that you love, and what are some of the trends that you can't wait to go away?
The marijuana leaf. Please, please stop putting it on every product. And green. And can you make it green? Why? Why should it be green? Because it's weed. Yeah, but so that's the trend that I really stop thinking weed, stop thinking about that, think about the customer again. Don't try to sell, just like you said, and think about the customer, what their needs, what color they want, and what actually am I selling. If you're selling to old people with pain, they don't care about the I got 5 on it. So that's a trend that gotta die.
Next, please.
I can
Go ahead.
well, I see some on the product side. I see some things emerging that I'm not a huge fan of, and that's getting away from strain focus. So I see some brands trying to say like calm, energy. That's probably my least favorite trend, and I hope it is a trend because it is sometimes an issue. But I think it's a retail issue in selling products sometimes. So I think it is all perspective and what you see as a trend and how it really affects your personal business model. But it's just a difficult one.
To that point, that's something I think about too. I think that the future of pre-rolls are going to be blends, like craft blends. But when people do that now, they're like, this is a magical joint that makes you more creative than you've ever been, or whatever they're trying to pitch it as. But if you're going to make a craft blend that you're going to try to get some flavor out of and try to just make it something a little nice in a single strain blend, something you can make your own compared to what everybody else is doing, you can, I lost my train of thought. Where was I at?
Craft blends.
What?
You were talking about craft blends.
Oh yeah, the craft blends. You can, if but come up with something unique. Like don't make it spark or rest or recover. Like make it something fun, like just some little thing that you like that's part of your brand's identity, and then pitch the idea like, hey, this is our owner mixes these 3, and this is our favorite house blend or their craft. So this is something that kind of separates you.
I think the intent is good, right? Like they want to be transparent in like the effect you're going to receive, but sometimes it is confusing for customers.
The CBD too. I mean, there's a lot of promises.
Sure. So kind of more of a practical question, a bit of advice for myself. So, own a business. Let's say I kind of understand marketing to some degree and branding, but let's say my creative capabilities are lacking, and I don't really care to make content because that's not my wheelhouse, and I will spend way more hours doing that to make something decent, but I could be doing other things that I'm good at that are valuable, right? So what's a good way to get the ball rolling, especially with someone like me who's actually looking to be someone already established in the market?
Maybe smoke something and get your creative juices flowing.
Film school. Go knock on the door and see what kind of creative young minds are out there that are willing to jump in, and they'll do it for a lot less than anyone else. And
I think you have to.
Don't go on Fiverr. Just don't go
So
on
my
Fiverr.
opinion is you look at it from a business perspective, right? There's a lot of young designers that want to learn what you think about, right? And they can also provide value for you. So what we've found a lot of value in is people who are young and are really talented, whether it's graphic design or whatever, and they want to learn, they want a foot in the door in the industry, right? And this can be that foot in the door, and they can grow with you. And I think that's the opportunity that people are looking for. You might be able to present that to them and look at good. Yeah. Yeah. And it's good that you know that, because some people think they're good, right?
Sorry, I guess this will be the last question. Sir, if you need any help, I can talk to you afterwards. From your experience, guys, digital advertising platforms, for you, which one was the best ROI? In the digital advertising.
for us, it started with Instagram.
Instagram stories or like just feeds?
Just the feeds, and now our company is evolving to more of a LinkedIn platform because we're creating end-to-end processing systems that cost over $1 million. So the target audience there is going to be more executive level, big decision makers. So.
Some of these are trade secrets. So,
Generally speaking.
yeah, I mean, it really depends on like what your business model is, right? And like, there's things where if you're a consumer facing, whether you already have a targeted market on Leafly, right, that are already observing Leafly, how do you get into their content, right? Are you a CBD e-commerce platform? There's a way more availability there. I'll say it's like digital ad spends. You get much more ROI going that way. I don't see. I know social media costs money, right? But I look at it as more something that you just have to have, and that's your baseline that you can build off of and tell different stories and pivot that way. But I really research. Depends, of course, if it's cannabis or CBD, right? But if it's cannabis, there are some ways to get unique on digital ad spend. Some people are taking cannabis money, and it's starting to open up a little bit. For instance, even in Las Vegas, I don't know if it's Cox Cable, but it's a big cable network, and they're now taking cannabis money, right? And so there's bigger ad networks that are starting to grow and be open to it.
To that, in California, you got to keep that magical 71.6% number in your mind. Ever know what I'm talking about? If you're advertising on a platform that anything has to have 71.6% of the audience 21 and over. So if you're looking at an influencer, if you're looking at anything, right now it's there's so much going on. It's kind of hard for them to keep track. They don't have to think. But people are when people start complaining, right? Then that's going to be a problem. So you have to keep that in mind. So I mean, it's a good question, but anecdotal answers are not. You need hard data, right? You need to have some. If somebody says, "Hey, I have a platform you should advertise on," show me. Show me how many people are 21 and over. How many of those people consume cannabis? And what kind of actual influence marketing on your site is going to have? Like, you can.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.